media and really asking the question, dude, have either of you parties lived in both to really understand both perspectives, right? And have a point of view. So,
Yeah, it was definitely.
All right, so because some of us have to catch flights, thanks to our girl JoJo, and some of us got to drive. All right, last question. Last question. There's this discussion that's happening that, I don't know, I'm feeling a little certain way about it, about the Filipino flag stole for graduation, right? You had some TikToker that was making mention of the Filipino stole and how that Filipino-American didn't have the
scarf
and the rights to be able to wear it, or just don't wear it at all. Right. And then there's those of us that
it was illegal to wear it the wrong way, or not wearing it at all.
And then there's those of us that have the perspective of living here in the Philippines and being grateful for anyone, doesn't matter your color, your skin color, living in the Philippines, have any relation to the Philippines, and we want to rep. So, I mean, I don't know. What are you feeling about that, and what's kind of like your last words and you wanted to say?
I mean,
about that situation.
I'm gonna say this, okay, you have Pacquiao, which is one of the best
They can't
boxers.
say it's illegal.
They can't say it's illegal.
He wears
it
on his
and he
shorts.
honors it,
Yes.
because he's from there and he grew up there, and that's what he's honoring the culture of the Filipinos. And just because he is like the best boxer, you can't say he can't wear it because he doesn't wear it right, or he's not from there, or anybody. But I understand it's such a fine line. In both sides. It's just depending on how you're representing it, I think. Okay. I did mention earlier that if you were born in the Philippines and know the traditions, or if you're Filipino-American and you know both and whatnot, and you were born here, then you can represent it because you just know that culture. But then you have these kids that are, what are they? What do you call them?
Millennials,
whatever.
Millennials and Gen Zs who have never lived in the Philippines and they want a connection to their roots.
So how if you're wearing that, what are you
trying to represent?
What are you representing?
Yes.
Right?
That's representing your culture.
Right. Are you representing your culture? Are you representing your ethnicity? Are you representing, or you're just wearing it just because it looks cool, right?
I mean, to me, I feel like if you have never been to the Philippines and lived in the Philippines, if you want to be correct about it, one side should be a Filipino flag and one side should be an American flag.
Yeah.
Because you're, like my son being half Filipino, to me, because he's never been to the Philippines, he should be representing. Well, he should be representing more of the American flag because that's his culture.
Yes.
He doesn't know the rest of his ethnicity. But his culture is an American culture. So
I mean,
to me, in my mind, to be correct, they should be having both flags being represented because most of the stuff that they've gotten their education from, they've gotten, their parents have earned their livings to pay for that education, came from an American culture. It didn't come from It didn't come from being Filipino.
Right.
It came from being American.
Right. I mean, like my son's half black and Filipino, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that, where you had, you're half black and half Filipino mestizos, and they're not going to look at him as he's Filipino because they won't know that. They're going to look at him as an African American black kid or whatever, right? So, and he doesn't know anything about the culture that we have. So I mean, maybe that might be our fault. I don't know, because
I kind of think, I don't want to say.
That's the other topic.
That's the other topic that we will part two.
Sorry,
I
just went. Okay,
but I think that also is part of it too. Like I was just telling Joanne and Shannon before we started recording this, was like, I just remember when my brother and I went to school, because of the color of our skin, our teacher automatically put us into ESL. Because they thought, all right, the English is their second language.
Right.
My dad went straight in uniform, and my mom went to the office, and through threw a fuss and said, you know what, I did not raise my kids to help us. I hate to use the word assimilate because that's just being tossed around, but basically, guys, I didn't bring up my kids, to be raised as full Filipino. I wanted to have them have the privileges and successes of, how it is to live in America. So English was their first language. I want them to be successful. Not that they were downing our Filipino side, but they just knew how hard it was for them. Right. They wanted to make a better life for us. So English was our first language. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I needed to be in ESL. Mm-hmm. I had no idea, so did my brother. Right. But I just saw the tears and the frustration in my parents' eyes when they went to the school office that day to change us and take us out of ESL and to let them know, look, my kids' first language was English and it's not Filipino, and they didn't believe that. So it is kind of that dichotomy, and it's tough. Yes, do we feel like our parents might have watered down our Filipino culture? Maybe in a sense, but I think they did it out of protection because they knew it was how hard it was to be competitive being raised in American culture, that was what they felt they needed to do, right, to help protect us and help us to survive.
I think what our parents struggled with was not understanding as being raised as Filipino-American kids, because we're first generation here, whether we're first generation being born on American soil, whether it's on an installation or whatever. What they didn't understand was they thought that if they just taught us English and everything like that
it would be
everything would be
sufficient.
That they didn't realize, and I think it's not just Filipino Americans. I think it's a lot of immigrant cultures, whether you're Chinese, Mexican, Puerto Rican, whatever, that we want to believe so much in this idea that when you go to America, you're American, you've made it.
Oh no, they forget the skin color.
They think that just because, and that's another topic we can bring up another time. Yeah. But when people look at us right away, they're like, "Oh, do you speak English?" I've had it. People sit there and tell me, "Oh, do you speak English?" Yes, I speak English just well, just fine. I don't speak any other language. English is my only language. Yeah. So I think that's what our parents didn't realize
that was
when they were trying to.
Well, I'll bring up one thing though, and I know it's a topic for the next time. But anyways, I have a cousin, and she has 2 kids, 1 boy and 1 girl. And from what I'm hearing, and I could be wrong, and maybe it could be a school she put her kids in, but now in the Philippines, they're teaching their kids English first now.
In the Philippines?
In the Philippines.
I thought they were taking me out.
See?
No, because
so
when
how are we gonna have this rhetoric about Filipino?
It's crazy.
Filipino-American.
Because let me tell you, these kids right now, I know these kids right now, the Kirk kids, my nephews and nieces right now, I think they're 5 and 7 or 5 or 7
in English.
But, and when I'm FaceTiming them, literally have no accents. No accents whatsoever.
Believe it.
And they're talking to me, they're speaking to me in English. It's not even Tagalog.
And they're born in the Philippines.
Yes.
But the reason why it's like that is because, unfortunately, the jobs that are there in the Philippines are call center jobs.
Yes.
So they don't want to talk to. When you call someone, there are times when when you call someone on a call center and you're like, you hear that accent, and you're like, might as well talk to you in Tagalog.
Yes.
Or you break out that accent just so you know that person on the other end
can be on your level.
Right. And you know what? And this is something again. I'm in the dental field. I'm a hygienist. Okay, and I my first job I went to was I worked for a Filipino dentist lady, and a majority of her patients were Filipinos, and they were older, younger. I mean, all types of ages, right? But the older ones that were actually born in the Philippines and have an accent, like the aunties and the uncles, they do not want to talk to me in Tagalog.
They try to speak in English?
I talked to them Tagalog or Kapampangan, and they talked to me back in English, was like...
Was it more of like
I know you can speak it.
Was it more of an awkward feeling for you, or was it more of...
It was an awkward feeling for me.
They were trying to compete and be like, I know English too. Sort of
I don't know. I feel like it was an awkward situation because it's like I know you can speak it. I mean, I'm talking to you, and
you don't have to like cover.
Right. But they were continuing to talk to me in English. They weren't speaking to me in either Tagalog or Kapampangan. And I know it's like I can tell the difference of dialects of like, okay, I know she's Tagalog. Well, I know she's Kapampangan. Yeah. Like but no, they wanted to speak to me in English. It was so odd. So, and that was just old school aunties and uncles. But the other generation, obviously, it goes less and less, right? You're talking about their kids and stuff that, are now more born here.
So we're seeing, like, this will be a part 2. I know we got to end this little podcast soon for most of you. But, yeah, there's just a lot of dialogue that's happening. And I thought, with us three, I wanted to tell, my girlfriend here, I feel like we have a different perspective because, yes, we're Filipino. Girl, I was born in Germany. Do I even consider myself Filipino-American?
Do you even know how to speak
German? So, I'm Filipino-German.
I was born in Spain.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, but I think our upbringing is Filipino-American, but I feel like we understand both sides because we lived in the Philippines. Yeah. So we know the respect that comes from living in the Philippines and be able to immerse yourself in the culture, but we also know the other side. So for me, my heart is really heavy seeing this dialogue that's happening on social media and really asking the question, dude, have either of you parties lived in both to really understand both perspectives, right? And have a point of view. Mm-hmm. So, part 2, we'll have more conversations about it, but I thought, with my girlfriends here, we thought we start a little dialogue, and we're actually ending our girls' weekend.
Actually, girls' weekend / reunion planning.
Reunion planning. So, we actually went to school at Clark Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. Most of us had to evacuate from the Mount Pinatubo explosion, and the reason why we thought, hey, it'd be a perfect location to celebrate it in San Diego because the Midway was one of the ships that helped evacuate. I just learned that this weekend. I didn't know that. I wasn't there for Mount Pinatubo. My dad had already retired and we moved here to California. But it was just kind of awesome to me that the Midway ship that was there helped with the evacuation of most of my friends from Clark. So we just thought, what a perfect location for this reunion that we're having next year. But at the same time, we just thought, have a quick dialogue before we leave to get on our flights, hit the road, get back to our normal lives. Just to talk about just some stuff that's been going on.
Show them the beautiful of San Diego.
Let me show you. So pretty. I'm gonna thank Miss Joanne. Look at that. Look at that. We're gonna open this up. We are at the park. We're right next to Balboa Park. So this is such a beautiful location. Thanks, Joanne, for hosting us. We're about to hit the road, but we will see you soon. Bye, everyone.